All right, guys, welcome back to another interview on MMAUnhinged. Today we're joined by pro MMA featherweight Keir Harvie. How's it going?
All good here, bro. All good.
Thank you for joining, having the time to come onto the show. It's an absolute pleasure. I watched your last fight at EFC. I think I'm very interested to see where your career goes, and I think we'll be hearing a lot from you in the future.
Yeah, thank you, mate. It was a very good experience. Tough fight, but yeah, got the win. I'm glad to be on the show here today with you.
Yeah, that was pretty much my first question. Is that you travelled? That was your first international fight. So tell me about the experience. Traveling overseas and having a fight.
Well, it's funny. It brings different challenges to it, but in a sense, it made it easier because I'm away from home. I was in a nice hotel. Everything was taken care of, and you have nothing else to focus on but the fight. So, although, people may think, oh, that's quite a big challenge, in a sense, it made it easier because, like I said, I'm away from home. It's just me and my corner man, and we're not focusing on anything but, making the weight and getting ready for the fight. So it strips away any other outside challenges that you might face in your day-to-day life at home. And you just focus on nothing but the fight. It makes you feel like a true professional. You're there, you're treated well, and it's just all about performing.
And before the fight, you had a press conference. And it seemed like it was giving a little bit of you a taster of what's going to come in the future. Did it seem that way? That you're getting a little bit of a taster of what's going to happen in the future?
Yeah, 100%. EFC is modelled very similar to the UFC in a lot of ways, and yeah, definitely got me more experience in those things. And I've never really been too shy with kind of any media stuff or whatnot. But even like more behind the scenes, like taking the pictures, filming the promos, answering all the questions, even like doing some other medical stuff. So it was a very valuable experience gained.
And the fight itself against, I want to say Maduba, it was a hard fought fight. Was it tougher than expected?
Honestly, it was tougher than expected. You look at his record. Tumasang Madiba, that's his name.
Yeah,
It's a 50-50 record, but to be fair, throughout that he's fought the who's who of guys at bantamweight and featherweight, even like the current featherweight champion there. He'll give anyone a go, and I think I met the best version of him because he'd taken, everyone had a bit of a layoff, but from what I'd heard about him, he was a bit rogue, like he never trained properly, but still done okay on the night. This was him. I think he had a kid and he joined a proper camp, and for like a year and a half, 2 years, he was properly training. For this kind of comeback, and I think that's why I got matched with him. I was the young kind of upcoming guy from a known gym for the EFC, and so it was interesting matchmaking. I think I maybe didn't expect that to be the best version of him, and it was, and that's why the fight was tougher than I maybe expected, but I won all the same, so it doesn't matter in the end.
Exactly. If you're getting your hand raised at the end of the fight, that in your eyes, that's still a win. But he did give you some troubles in that first round. He knocked you down a few times, but it shows that you can overcome adversity. So did that show to yourself that, I can take one as good as I can give one?
Yeah, well, to be totally honest with me, he never like knocked me down. It was more I was throwing I was more off balance with throwing kicks. A big part of our game plan was attacking his lower leg. And if I'm leaning back and chopping a kick, it was easy for me to slip. And I understand it doesn't look good for the judges, but I can honestly say, like, at no point did he hit me hard. Did he even like? And at my nose starts bleeding quite bad. But I've got quite a delicate nose as it is, and just being abroad and with the high elevation, it was bleeding all week. I was waking up in the morning and it would just start bleeding. So I knew for a fact it was going to bleed in the fight. So there was a lot of things, I was slipping and falling, and my nose was bleeding bad. It looks a lot worse. Even some stupid stuff like my hair was longer, so when I get hit, my hair moves around more. It's all things that the judges will see, but I never felt, besides getting a bit more tired because of the altitude. That's the only thing I felt in trouble with. I don't feel like he threatened me at any point, and I was threatening him. So they at least seen that and scored it correctly.
Yeah, that was a good segue into my next question. You mentioned there the elevation, the altitude, and that's what you said after the fight in the post-fight interview. So how much did that affect your performance and your gas tank on the night?
Honestly, mate, it's crazy. Like, I don't like mean to go on about it a lot, but the impact it made really was big. And I'd spoke to my teammate Danny Henry, who'd fought the year before, and he'd mentioned it, and I kind of thought, I was like, it's not going to be a big problem. And I was like, I see myself finishing this guy anyway. So, but it really did make a big difference. And like, I was training out there, and I didn't feel it, but the end of that first round going into the second, I was like, oh my god, I've not been this tired in years since I was like a young boy. You know, you get the adrenaline dump. That's what it felt like it was my first fight again. And even like cognitively, you know, like your decision making, you're not getting as much air in. Yeah, oh, what? Yeah, that was a big impact to the fight. So that's what I'm proud of myself for. It's not the best performance, but I know like if that fight was at sea level, I'm finishing that fight. So to get hit with that, not really be expecting how drastic it would be to overcome and still win. You just need to pick the positives in that sense, I believe. And I grinded out and still got the win. So I'll be better prepared next time for it as well, for sure.
Yeah, that's it. Now you've had the experience over there in the high altitude. Then next time you now fight at a higher altitude, you've been there, you've done it, so you know what to expect. But you know, how actually high was it? Did you was it up a mountain or something?
Well, mate, it's basically just like, you know, like the UK is essentially sea level. You know, you might be like 50 meters up some places or whatever. But
Okay.
just like the city of Johannesburg is like 1,800 feet, 1,800 meters anyway. But it's like, you know, so if we were just walking around here and like in the UK, you would look up and see that city in the sky. Like, it's weird to think about. But there's places that are even higher. Like, remember, like the UFC went to Mexico City. That's like
Yeah.
notoriously one of the highest, like the highest elevation in the world, and or one of, you know, besides like mountains or whatever. But and a lot of people were gassing on that on that card. But mate, it's something you just don't really think about too much, and you wouldn't think would catch you out. But it's like your body is not conditioned to perform in that environment. Like, it can't carry the oxygen through your blood as efficiently. So, you know, no matter how fit you are, your body's not conditioned to it. It's really it's a weird thing to come across, but I guess in fighting, things aren't always going to go your way. You know, whether it's elevation, an injury, this or that, anything can happen. So you just need to have the mindset to, you know, get past it and batter on and still win. You know, I could have maybe had that as an excuse. You know, I wasn't prepared for that. I got tired. I lost. You know, and it would have been okay. But you know, I was telling myself in that fight, especially going into the third round, like, I'm refusing to lose this. You know, whether no matter how tired I am, like, you need to just fight through, and that's what I managed to do.
Well, that's it. This is the lesson and a sort of fight and experience that you will look back on in a few years and you'll be like, thank God I had that experience.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So going back to you mentioned earlier that EFC, they treat you well. You felt like a superstar sort of thing over there with the press conference and how it was laid out. So I'm not too sure. Are you still with EFC? You maybe looking to have another fight over there with them?
The plan as of right now is to fight for the EFC again. They've got their next show is the first weekend of March. I believe it's the 5th. And as of now, you know, we're doing some talks behind the scenes. There's some guys there that are good matchups. So right now, that's the plan. You know, MMA is very fluid. Anything can happen. Literally anything can happen. So, but as of right now, that's the plan. And to be honest, that's kind of where I want to go. I did enjoy that. And I feel like now that I've been there and done it, I can give it a better go and represent myself better next time. So you understand. So that's what I would like to happen anyway.
I watched the fight with you and Madaba, but what was it like? You know, seeing the fans because I didn't really get to see. What was it like the fight week experience being over there in international country?
Yeah, mate, it was really good. It was fun enough. Like the traveling over there wasn't too hard at all. You know, there is some restrictions, but no, it wasn't too hard. And then, you know, they treat you really well. You're put up in a 5-star hotel. And the show itself was in their institute. They've got their own performance institute, so kind of everything was in house. You know, you've done all the pictures there, the media there. So I was surprised, honestly, how well it had been set up. I'd always heard good things, but you know, a lot of times our teams went in the past. It was in like the casinos, arenas, and you know, this was like kind of post lockdown, so I didn't really know what to expect. But really like glowing reviews for them. They treated us really well. It's probably the first time in my career I felt like a true professional, and like every sense of like the whole fight weekend. Yeah, it was really good. If anyone you know listens to this and is unsure or gets an offer, I would definitely recommend them.
Yeah, and then you said that you'd like to go back on their show on March. Then we spoke to your friend, your best friend over there, Mark Ewan, and he said he would like to go over there in the EFC as well. So there may be a possibility of having a Scottish a main event and co-main event over there, a little Scottish takeover.
It's funny you say that because the only reason I ever ended up on the EFC was because they were interested in Mark. You know, obviously, it's an African promotion. He's got Nigerian roots. They were interested in him, and they fought for November, but he couldn't do the date. But I was available, so they still, you know, they wanted to bring someone over. They brought me. So hopefully, you know, they can put the two of us on that show. And you know, I'm pretty sure we're undefeated when the two of us fight on the same night as well. So we'll keep that streak alive as well.
You was meant to fight in Bellator Dublin, but eventually your opponent fell out. I'm so bad with pronunciations and names, but I'm going to call him Azel Adijordi. I'm so bad, but Aduj. See, you're much better than me. I am so bad. But eventually he fell out, and you couldn't fight Bellator Dublin. If you're looking back at it now, is that like an opportunity you missed for you because you would have had a big chance at a big stage?
You know, yeah, it is. But like I said, mate, anything could happen in this. I ended up getting that fight offer totally out of the blue, and it was about 13 weeks out. So it was a long build up, and then yeah, about 8 weeks out, I just got a message. I didn't even get an exact reason. Some kind of injury. He'd fought in on another show. I think it was in Abu Dhabi. And he seemed to win it. Even like the guy he fought was like a last minute opponent. It seemed on paper like an easy win. He submitted him. He looked okay. And then all of a sudden I just heard he was injured, he was out, and that was it. I never heard anything else again from Bellator. But if you're in the know, you know how it works over there. It's especially those Irish shows. It's the Irish guys, the team SPG versus everyone else. And I was just the guy being brilliant to fight him. So once he was off the card, there was no interest in keeping me. And I did hope, you know, they're going back early this year. I hope to get a call, but I didn't. But like I said, mate, you can't just sit around and wait for these calls. Yeah, it was a big opportunity. I would have got a good purse for it, but it didn't happen. I'm not bothered by it. And then behold, like not long after, I get the call for the EFC. So it all works out. I still got to fight.
That's it, and I feel like the EFC will help you progress more in your career because you're gonna get these, you know, the big fights over there in the EFC. You're gonna get these co-main events. You're gonna get these main events eventually. I feel like that's gonna prepare you for the future in years to come.
Yeah, exactly. The Bellator, you know, it looks good, you know, to fight for that Irish crowd, and it would have been good. And I hope maybe it still can happen, but it really was just going to be like a one fight gig, and then I'm still like unsigned and not sure what the next step is. At least with EFC, there's building to be done. You know, there's a champion, there's contenders. You can build your name. So, in a sense, it's almost a better opportunity. So, either way, I'm doing well regardless whether it was Bellator or EFC. I've got good opportunities coming my way, whether some materialise and some don't. Even now behind the scenes, there's still other big opportunities coming in. And you know, you can't complain with that. That's what you want. You just want good things coming your way, and then whatever's meant to happen is meant to happen, I believe.
Yeah, it was interesting that, you know, Bellator didn't give you that, you know, that reasoning why the injury, why he didn't, you know, fight. I'm pretty sure you would like to have that, you know, the reassurance, I'd say.
But at the end of the day, well, what does it matter? He's out, whether it's this reason or that reason, you know what I mean? And I knew once he was out, I knew they wouldn't rematch me unless there was maybe like another featherweight fight got cancelled. But in my head, I knew, right, I'm off that card. I'm not going to sit around and and wait to get rematched, and just kept training. The EFC came and jumped at that, so it does all work out.
A Scottish fighter on an Irish card, I'm sure you would have got a great reception.
I know exactly, and he's the SPG guy, but he's French. I don't think, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They're not caring about French guys as much. I think I would have got a good welcome to that, and I would have put on a show. And you know what? It doesn't surprise me because I would have beat him. He seems to have some good striking, but I would have taken him down and put him in a very uncomfortable position, and I think he would have quit. I would have stopped him with strikes, or else it might have done. So I think they kind of know, in a sense, it was a bad matchup. You know, maybe he got an easy win, and their eyes, maybe it's better to just sit out the rest of the year. Well, whether he was injured or not, you know, I don't know. Anything can happen, but I know I was confident. I was going in there to beat him, and with that stage and that opportunity, I would have beat him. So he dodged a bullet, in my opinion.
Okay, and moving back to your career in 2021, you only had 2 fights. In your eyes, was that frustrating? Would you like to go out more?
It was a little bit frustrating, but you need to remember then there was literally nothing going until June. Like there was no talks of any fights until June, and I was actually looking at. I was going to be matched in just like a regional show in Scotland in June, and then like I ended up getting the call for Cage Warriors. It was perfect. I got into that. I thought maybe I'd fight on like September back on Cage Warriors. I never got called back to Cage Warriors. I got Bellator if I just waited a little bit longer in November, and then that cancelled. But mate, MMA is crazy in that sense. Like you never know what's going to happen, what could happen. But it is what it is. I got 2 good fights on 2 big promotions, and I got 2 wins. It was really half a year's work. So for half a year's work, I'm happy with that. And now I've got a full year. This year I've got momentum behind me. You know, going into that year I was coming off a loss. My confidence is high. My belief in myself is higher than ever. And I'm good. I know there's going to be big opportunities. This is a year for me to put in a good shift and really set up my future. So it's all worked out. It's all worked out well in my eyes.
Go into your striking early. You touched up on it about your possibly facing Aduj. I feel like your striking, it reminds me of a little bit of a kickboxing, no, a karate style. You're on your toes, your wide stance, you're bouncing. Was that picked up from a young age?
Yeah, I don't even really know. You know, subconsciously, so many things just build your style. I've never decided that's who I'm going to be. You know, sometimes you maybe plan to do one thing and then you go in there, and that's just me expressing myself, my style. I go out and I'm light on my feet. I'm bouncing around. I'm quick. I like to do these blitzing attacks. I'm never someone that's just going to stand in the pocket and, you know, exchange strikes. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I've not got a great answer. I don't come from like a karate background where I started off day one doing MMA, and just through the years I've evolved into this style. I think it's more like my grappling seems to be like the stronger part of my style. But there's plenty on the feet there too, and that's like another part of my game. I want to get more going this year. I've got confidence in my striking. It seems to be, you know, you take the path of least resistance, and that always seems to be grappling for me.
Yeah, that's where you really shine, as you were saying. Your striking will come. You just got to have the experience, and that's what you're going to get. I believe it, and I just feel like the karate stance, the way you move, the way you're bouncing bits out, is going to really work for you. Because if you look at someone who like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, he's karate through and through, and his takedown defense is not all there. But you, as mainly a grappler, I feel like it's going to really work well.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, someone takes me down, I don't mind. I'm happy to grapple. I think it's more with that style. I can utilize my speed. I think I'm faster than a lot of people maybe realize, especially blitzing in with the punches. So yeah, I would say that I've got more of a kind of refined style now, but there's still so much more to add. Like I've had a good amount of fights now, but by no means do I feel like I'm the finished article. Fight by fight, you know, even like month by month, you're adding new wrinkles to your game. I'm just going to keep refining it. I feel like my grappling's gotten to a good point now. I want to show more on the feet. I'm more than willing to exchange on the feet. You know, I've got good head movement. I'm comfortable anywhere. If there's someone that I can't grapple with, I'll strike, and vice versa. So it just I think just more the matchups I've had my way. It's been more efficient for me to grapple. Even in like the one loss I got at pro, that was a bigger guy and probably maybe a better grappler, but just he was bigger and out grappled me, and that's what I really learned from that fight is if you're losing in one part of the fight, you can't just be stubborn and keep trying to go back there and I'm going to win doing it. You need to switch it up at the drop of a hat. If I'm I think I'm a confident grappler. There's guys out there that are better than me for sure. I need to switch it up and strike. If maybe at range I'm struggling, then we're dirty boxing against the cage. That's the biggest thing about pros. You need to switch your whole game plan at the drop of a hat if you need to. It's minute by minute. You can't just be dropping rounds and then talking to your corner. You can do this or that. You need to change your style to where you can win at the drop of a hat. And that's maybe the biggest difference between pro and amateur. You need to find the ways to win, and you need to be winning the minutes on the clock and until the finish comes. And then if it doesn't, at least you still win on points. You can't. You understand what I mean? You need to really look at it as a whole and find your ways to win and win the minutes on the clock.
Yeah, that's it. I 100% agree with you. In today's mixed martial arts, generation in the world, you've got to be good at every sort of aspect of MMA. You can't just be good at one thing. Unless your name's Khabib Nurmagomedov, you can't be good at one thing. You have to be good at every single thing. And the most important thing, as you said there, is mixing it up. Going to the takedowns, then getting back up, striking. We've seen the likes of Usman predominantly being a wrestler and then upgrading his striking. And now he's knocking out people who are boxers. So the best thing, if you're an MMA fighter, you have to mix it up, and that's what you're talking about there. You have to like, I don't know, involve your striking to be able to mix up and to beat these guys who are probably you're going to come up against these guys who are better grapplers than you, but it's about mixing it up and being able to give them some trouble on the feet.
Styles make fights 100%. Unless there is these rare guys like Khabib, that he'll just bring the same style, but most other people you need to adapt your style to each opponent and find the things you're good at that's going to beat them.
100%. We'll move on to your gym, high level mixed martial arts, and we spoke to Mark the other day, and I'm sensing a real, a movement and a morale over there. I feel like the way you are going, you're only going up, and I feel like the Scottish MMA scene is going to really be put on the map this year. You're destined for the top. Mark is destined for the top, and there's so many other guys high in mixed martial arts that are going to reach the top. But what is it that why is like the mentality everyone wants to reach top? How is that? Are you all together like a family?
It is definitely a very tight-knit group, but so much of that credit just goes to James. He just he's been there, done it all. He just knows it. He knows what works, and even like Mark mentioned, he's always on top of what's happening, week to week in MMA, studying things, and there's always it's an always evolving game, and he's always on top of that and bringing it into us, and like Mark said as well, we just keep each other accountable. Everyone pushes each other on. If a lot of people in the gym don't have a fight, but if someone has a big fight coming up, then we're all in there together pushing that person. And then say you get kind of this time of the year where everyone's getting matched up, everyone just pushes each other. And even there's a lot more guys now coming up to Scotland, like realising this. Maybe it's easy for us we can get overlooked at times. Even we went to the Cage Warriors last year, and we were like the only gym that won all the fights. We went 4-0 across that. Things like that. Anywhere we go, we make an impact, and people are really picking up on that now. There's so many good gyms down south, but people are coming from down south up to us to get a new wrinkle and see what it is we're doing. And yeah, I think down south a lot of people, mix and match gyms. We do a wee bit here, a wee bit there. We're just everything in house, all one group working together, and it works. Clearly works.
Yeah, as you mentioned there, you're in safe hands with James, and then you got Stephen Ray as well. He's making his PFL run this year, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on now back into MMA. A new scene as well for him over at PFL. So it'll be interesting to see how Stephen Ray gets on. You got any predictions how he's going to go on?
you know, I think he'll smash it. Especially see to see him like on Polaris with the grappling.
Oh
You
my
need to be
God.
smart with that, you know, because you're going to have so many fights in a short period of time. I can see Stevie just taking people down, submitting them, staying fresh, getting points on the board, and moving on. And again, PPL, it's another big show that higher level are getting on. You know, UFC, Bellator, any big show out there. It's only a matter of time before one or several of our guys show up on it.
Then my last question is, Mark, when we asked Mark this question, he said he wants to get to the UFC by the end of 2022. So I'm wondering, what does Keir want to do by the end of 2022?
You know, mate, honestly, I can see that for myself, especially if I can push on and get that EFC world title. Then it's there. Like I said, you don't need a crazy record nowadays. But at the same time, you know, I do have a slight different approach. I like to take it fight by fight. I want to get to the UFC when, like I said, I'm still building my style when I feel like I've got that set and I'm ready to go in. Everyone's different. Everyone's going to go in at their own times. I think if it doesn't happen this year, I'm putting in the work this year for it to be next year. I've always kind of had it in my mind, like I'm 23 now. I want it to be like 25. By the time I'm 25, I want to be signed or on the doorstep to being signed. But like that's always the end goal is to get signed. But then on this path along, I'll take anything that comes.
100%. I feel like eventually you have to wait your time and you'll get there 100%. You and Mark, I feel like it will be a good, a good time when it comes. Imagine used to both from the UFC London, or we talked about before we went on there. When I went to UFC Scotland, that would be. I feel like you would get a fantastic reception over there at UFC Scotland.
Yeah, definitely. That's the thing too. We're so young and so fresh in this game, but at the same time we're always we can be tied in together a lot. You know, we're similar, same gym, whatever. But we are very different. We're different people. We're walking our own paths. We're just doing it side by side. So when he gets there, he gets there. And when I get there, I get there. We push ourselves on, and then whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I've got no doubt he's going. I've got no doubt I'm going. It's just we'll enjoy the journey and take it as it comes.
But that's it. The mixed martial arts, your career, it's a journey. And as you said there, you've got to take it as it comes. Thank you so much for joining. It's been an absolute pleasure. I enjoyed your answers and it's been a pleasure talking to you today. I wish you the best luck in the future and 2022.
Thank you very much, man. I really appreciate you too.
Thank you.